Hello everyone, I'm Laura Barat from laurabaratastrologer.com, and today I am discussing the Dasamsa, or the 10th house Varga, okay? So not really a lot, almost nothing is written about this Varga in Parashara or anywhere else. Okay, so he gives the method of calculation, he gives the deities, and he says great fruits. Okay, that's what this Varga means, great fruits. This Varga is used more and more because people want to know about their success. All right, this is a Varga for timing success in ventures. All right, what the person does. Usually that is the career, but not always, as you'll see when we go along with this video, okay? But now, this Varga does not show if a person will be highly successful or if they will be less successful than average. It does not show that. That is seen through Jaimini yogas and something called Argala, okay? You'll see people who have average or below average Dasamsas that are highly successful. The success comes from Jaimini success yogas and Argala. What this shows is the timing, okay? If a planet or a house cusp is in better dignity, better shape than average during the dasha of that planet or the ruler of that house cusp, usually the person gets more success, okay, or is more successful, and they are known for their great fruits, okay. Also, this Varga will show what a person is known for, what they are associated with. When you say a person's name, usually people associate that with something, okay? And what they associate you with, your actions, your karma, that is this Varga. That is the Dasamsa and the 10th house, okay? So very important. This is a very important Varga. All of them really are important, but this one becomes important in people's lives because they want to see when time periods will run, when they will be able to be more successful, okay? And it also shows how you go about getting that success with the deities, okay? The deities give the essence or the flavor of the actions you perform and how those bring success into your life. This is a Varga that does actually have deities. The last video I did about the Saptamsha didn't have deities per se, but more, they had what they call liquids or essences. This Dasamsha has deities, and basically it's an energy, it's an essence that gives a theme or a flavor about how you go about getting your success. This Varga is also highly related to the 4th or the Chaturtamsha. The reason is the Chaturtamsha shows what we are fortunate with. It's the chart of fortune. Usually what we're fortunate with is something that we become known for. Okay, so these two Vargas are very linked to each other. And so you might want to keep that in mind, okay? Now, so the important planets and house cusps in this chart, the important planets are Saturn. Saturn is the most important planet. This is the 7th Varga that Parashara mentions in the Shodasha Varga system, or the 16 Varga system. And Saturn is the 7th planet. Saturn is the planet of insecurities and fears and, perseverance, okay? The better Saturn is in the chart overall, the more the person is able to persevere, the more the person is able to take pain, physical, mental, emotional. And the better Saturn is basically our suffering, the negative karmas that we have to go through. And the better he is, the more we're able to withstand suffering. Okay. So a lot of reasons people don't succeed in life is because of their psychological hangups or their insecurities. It's also because they can't, they become discouraged when they get negative feedback. Okay. And that's just part and parcel of doing anything, really. You're going to have people who criticize you. You're not going to get away from that. Okay. But some people do, get very discouraged when they are criticized. And Saturn shows the ability to withstand those things. Okay. Saturn is also focusing on something, because Saturn is alone. He's a loner, and he shows our ability to be alone and not be distracted by, whatever, social activities, entertainment, illnesses. Saturn gets Digbala, or directional strength, in the 7th house. And the 7th house is the house of the partner. And it's the house of the public in general, and our relationship with our partner and the public. And so everyone wonders kind of why Saturn gets strong in the 7th house, because it definitely causes some relationship problems in the 7th house, but the significations of Saturn become very strong. And the reason that is because Saturn allows us to see when to associate with other people. Okay. When we need partnership and when we don't need partnership, when we need affection and when we don't need affection. And Saturn is able to analyze those things and say, well, I don't really need this and I can be alone. Okay. Saturn is exalted in Libra, the 7th sign. Libra is the sign of relationships. So Saturn knows when relationships are needed and when they're beneficial, and knows when they're not, and when you're wasting time, or when you're just in a relationship or with other people to satisfy some need somewhere. Okay. So that's why Saturn is kind of linked to the 7th house, but it's also the planet in this Varga. All right. Whenever we create something new and are using our creative intelligence, whenever we're trying to reach this height, usually we're alone. I'm not talking about all of the social activities and the networking you have to do to get ahead. That's something different. But if you want to be successful, really successful at something, usually you have to spend a lot of time alone, and that is Saturn. Okay. So Saturn is just persevering on through, just pushing through no matter what, and getting through the fear and insecurity around whatever it is you want to do. Okay. Now, the secondary planet of this Varga is the sun. Okay. The sun is a planet of career. Actually, the sun in some instances can give career. The sun gets Digbala, or directional strength, in the 10th house. The sun is the king in the planetary kingdom, and he gets very strong in the 10th house because he's up high where he can see his kingdom, right? And the sun is our connection to our higher self, our inspiration that makes us unique, makes us an individual. And we want to shine with the sun. Wherever the sun is in the chart, I'm talking about the Rashi chart here, that's usually an area of life where we're very interested in. Okay. And it usually gets stronger as we get older. Okay. Because as we get older, we express more of our sun. Just because we have the ability to. We have more, a financial stability. We have more stability in our life, and we don't have to adapt to the world, which is the moon. Okay. The first part of life is more of the moon, where you're adapting to everything and you have to pay your dues, so to speak. So you, you go through life adapting to things and changing. And when you get a certain amount of stability, you can fully express your sun. Okay. So the sun is a pretty important part of life, where it is. And also, the sun is the secondary planet in this chart, in this Varga, because the sun is number 1. It's the first planet. And when you add up all of the numbers in 10, you get 1. Okay. 10 squared, 10 is 100. Add up all those numbers, that's 1, right? So in the numerology of it, the sun is also very important. And the sun shows where, how much power and influence we can have, basically. The important houses are obviously the 10th cusp in this chart. Okay, that wherever the 10th cusp falls, that's an important sign. The lord of that sign, any planets conjoined that 10th house cusp, are going to be important planets. And also the first house. The first house in this Varga is also important, as it was important in the D4, or sorry, the D7. Because the first house is our charisma, our appearance, our magnetic personality, our charisma, whatever it is. Usually when people go forward, they need a certain amount of that to really make an impression, right? So that's another first house indication, and that's kind of linked with the D7. And it's funny because the 10th from the 10th is the 7th house. Okay, so the first house, the 10th, or the ascendant, and the 10th house cusp in this Varga, and Saturn and the sun. Those are the important planets you want to look for. Okay, now, having said that, we're going to move on to the deities, which is so much fun and so interesting. I'm not going to talk about how to calculate it or the positions. Suffice to say that every sign is divided into 3 degrees each, and into portions of 3 degrees. And wherever your planet or your house cusp falls in those portions is ruled by a deity. And I'll put that down in the description. Okay, how to calculate it if you don't have software. But so the first deity is Indra, and okay. Before I get there. Okay, so you have the deities. They all rule a portion of the Dasamsa. Then you have directions. It's 10 directions. Okay. That's all of the directions of the compass, which is 8 directions. And then you have the direction of up and down. All right. So the zenith, which is up, and the nadir, which is down. All right. So the 8 directions of the compass are ruled by planets, which also become important in the interpretation. And it's 8 planets. It's not including K2. K2 does not rule a direction because K2 is everything. K2 is the Om vibration, according to Jaimini. It's all of creation, and it rules moksha, or liberation. So there is no direction when you reach liberation. So K2 is left out of this scheme. But every planet rules a direction. And usually the strongest planet, and also the planet that you're running in Vimshodari Dasha, or whatever Dasha, you're analyzing, you're going to get success from that direction. Okay, usually the opportunities, the job you apply for, the person that gives you the raise or the promotion comes from that direction. Okay, it's really interesting how this works. So, okay, so the first deity is Indra, and the direction is east, ruled by the sun. Okay, and Indra is a god of the atmosphere, And when I'm talking about the deities, these are taken from more of the Vedas, the Rig Veda in particular, and they have a little bit, that is the more older Hinduism, okay? When they worship deities, they were mainly worshiping elements, or forces of nature. And then now what they practice now more is Puranic Hinduism. And the deities kind of transform to mean something else. I'm going back into the Vedic interpretation or of the Vedas, okay? So Indra was the god of the atmosphere. And you can also, before I start that, I just want to say, if you don't know much about Hindu mythology or the Hindu religion, these are essences that carry over into other systems where, you have gods for different energies. And then if you don't, if you're more of a monotheistic type of person, this is more of an energy feeling and essence. Okay. So it carries over across cultures and religions. But I'm using the Hindu pantheon here. Okay. So Indra conquers. He's the god of the atmosphere. He destroyed a demon called Bala, who was a dark demon that obscured the sun with his dark clouds. And, or he destroyed the light, basically. So Indra killed him with his thunderbolt, and Indra represented what happened in the atmosphere, which was clouds, lightning, and rain. All right. And rain was very important because this was an agricultural society. So people wanted Indra. Indra was considered to be good, and he got rid of darkness. He conquered that dark demon. So when you have planets here in this Indra ruled by the deity, that means you're going to destroy obstacles. You're going to destroy whatever is in your path. It's more of a negating type of energy where you're getting rid of things. All right. There's a couple of those in this scheme, and Indra is one of them. It's basically you are, it's like if somebody comes to you and says, "Oh, you can't do that. What are you thinking? You don't have any credentials. Or you've got all this competition. You'll never succeed." And you say, "No, I'm just doing it anyway. Get out of my way. I don't want to hear it." If you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all, right? You get rid of the negative people around you telling you no. You get rid of whatever other obstacles are in your way. That's what Indra represents, this deity. The second one is Agni, which is fire, okay? And this is ruled by Venus, and Venus rules the southeast direction, okay? This is, okay, so fire isn't everything because most everything burns. Not everything burns, but most everything burns. And fire isn't everything, we just don't see it until it's burning, okay? And then when fire does burn something, it turns to ashes or carbon or smoke. Okay, ashes and smoke, that's what fire causes. And reduces everything to ash. So there is an underlying connectivity to everything that burns. They're all made up of the same thing, okay? And this essence, and fire reveals that. So when you have a planet or a house cusp ruled by Agni, you're going to reach success through finding the connectivity and the support. Okay? Recognizing those things and getting those things. Connecting with others, connecting with the knowledge you need, connecting with the skill you need, whatever it is. That is Agni, symbolized by Agni. And of course, Venus is a connective planet, all right, in the southeast direction. Next, we have Yama. Yama is the god of death, all right? He's associated with Saturn. And Yama, it was lame, or they called him lame, like Saturn is lame. And Yama is the first man to be born, and he was the first man to die. And because he was the first man to die, he leads souls when they pass on. He leads them to their proper place in the astral realm, okay, where they're destined to go, where their karmas bring them. And he would do that by, rounding them up and showing them the way. Okay, so he leads souls, and he leads them. It's kind of like when you lead a horse, you have to have a bridle on a horse, right? And Yama literally means to rein or to bridle or to restrain something. Okay, so when a soul, the person's physical body dies and the soul emerges into the astral and, is kind of wandering around, Yama is there to say, okay, you've got to go this way. This is the path, and I'm going to lead you there, and you can't deviate from this path. So this is ruled by Mars, all right? That's the planetary ruler. And this is the south, the southern direction. And this has to do with self-control and restraint. All right, this is very much when planets or house cusps are here, it indicates the person needs to have a very, be very self-disciplined, be very self-controlled and restrained. All right. They have to follow a path and not deviate from it, not waste their time on other things, which is very much Mars. That is a martial quality, in addition to Saturn. So, all right. So the next deity, Rakshasa. All right. So Rakshasa is very demonic and destructive. It's ruled by Rahu, okay? And it's the southwestern direction, so the southwest. And, Rahu is basically a demon, okay? And Rahu also represents fears and insecurities, but it's a little different than Saturnian fears and insecurities because Rahu's the unknown. And Saturn is, we know what Saturn is. There's just fears and insecurities there because it's a burden. We find it, either boring or we hate it or it's just drudgery, Rahu is a different type of fear. Rahu is like, jumping out of an airplane or something. It's like you don't know what's coming and it's going into the jungle. They'd say the Rahu jungle, right? So it's very much an unknown kind of fear of the unknown. You don't know the territory, so it's scary. And Rahu is also an outcast. That's his caste. And this usually indicates that the person is going against the societal rules or societal culture, or it's taboo, okay? Rahu and the 8th house rule taboo things, things that are shunned. And it's because they're new, Rahu always brings new things, and sometimes new ideas, new products, new actions are scary to other people. So in some way, you're being a maverick and you're going against what society approves of. So that is an aspect of this Rakshasa deity, okay? And this is also going against fears and insecurities, but it's different because it's those things that are unknown to you, all right? The next one is Varuna. The next deity is Varuna. And Varuna is associated with the oceans and waters, but that was a later association. The earlier association in the Vedas was, he was the all-encompassing sky. He was the celestial sphere, all the stars and the planets and all of that stuff. And this deity is ruled, the planetary ruler is Saturn, and the direction is west. Okay? And because he ruled this celestial sphere in the sky, this deity or essence or energy has to do with keeping that goal, keeping the vision, the higher vision of your goal with you at all times. Okay? No matter what happens, because it's ruled by Saturn. Saturn's going to get in the way. Saturn is obligations, fulfilling our obligations, which is something else we need to do. Another thing that Saturn rules that we need to do to get ahead in life. We have to fulfill our obligations. So that is kind of connected, but we still have to hold that vision in our consciousness to move forward and get done what we really want to get done, what we want to do. All right. So that's what Varuna means. The west. Saturn rules the western direction. The west is the horizon. You know, so we kind of look out over the horizon, say, oh, wow, I really want to do that. You know, I want to get there. I see it in the distance and I'm going to do everything I can to get there. So this deity rules holding that vision, keeping it in your consciousness and not losing it because of other distracting things. The next one is Maruta, M-A-R-U-T-A. This rules the northwestern direction. This is ruled by the moon. Maruta is wind. That's what it means. It's a wind god. And wind is change, basically, blowing things around and changing, adapting. You know, lots of different changes. And the moon, of course, is the planet of adaptation, of adapting to things. Okay. So, so when you have planets or house cusps here, you are, or those energies, you know, those things that it represents has to adapt, has to change, has to shift around to find success. Okay. The next one is Kubera. This is basically the god of wealth. That's what Kubera is. You have Lakshmi, but Lakshmi is more wealth of, well, Lakshmi is devotion and basically wealth and, you know, your skills, your knowledge, your artistic, expression. That's kind of what Lakshmi is. She is a goddess of wealth, but also, you know, those other things. Kubera is, you know, financial, material prosperity. And he got that way because he used to be ruled over the demonic realm. Okay. He was kind of a ruler of demons, but he overcame all of that to become the god of wealth. Okay. And, this is the northern direction and it's ruled by Mercury. And, so what this deity does when you have planets here is it's important to re-examine your consciousness of why you want wealth. Sorry. Okay, so it's important to realize that the wealth that betters you, wealth for self-improvement. You know, a lot of people want wealth because they want an easy lifestyle. You know, they want to enjoy everything that life has to offer, right? You know, they want to enjoy the Venetian things. Venus rules luxuries. Venus is the highest we can get, you know, the best we can get on this earth. You know, we want to go on a yacht in the Mediterranean in the summer, or, you know, want to, have a chalet in the mountains or something like that. You know, people want these things because it's, the best. It's the best the world has to offer, but it doesn't really improve the person. You're still the same person, right? So, it's good to want wealth so you have more freedom, you have more time that for self-improvement and for the improvement and betterment of others. Wealth that goes to charity, that helps other people help themselves. Okay? So it's important to try to analyze the reasons you want wealth when you have planets in this ruled by Kubera, and strive for something higher rather than wanting wealth just to enjoy yourself. Okay? There's nothing wrong with that. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. But Venus, that's the Venusian desire. And Venus is number 6. Venus is right before Saturn, number 7, the 7th planet. Saturn is the end. All good things must come to an end. Okay? That's just what happens. And then you move on to higher realms. You move into the realms of Rahu and Ketu. All right. But, the Venusian part of life always ends. And if you don't change your consciousness, it's very devastating when Saturn comes along and brings those things to an end. All right. You see this a lot with, people in Hollywood or older movie stars. They were movie stars, they were famous, they had all this money, and then that kind of starts coming to an end as they get older, or for whatever reason, they lose parts and they're not getting the attention that they used to get. So they'll pay paparazzi to come photograph them, doing whatever, and put it on, gossip websites or whatever, because they crave that still. It's just not, they haven't evolved above those types of desires. All right. So that's kind of how that works. All right. So let's see. The next one is Ishana. And that is basically another name for Shiva, but this is Shiva not in his destructive force. This isn't Shiva as a destructor. Ishana is actually, all right, so this is ruled by Jupiter. The planetary ruler is Jupiter, and the direction is northeast. And this god, this deity, rules over taking care of what we own. All right? Owning what we own. Taking care of it. And improving upon it. So when you have planets in this, ruled by this deity of Ishana, you are nourishing and improving upon what you already have. That's where you'll find success. Okay? Pretty easy. All right, so the next one is Padmaja. And Padmaja is not ruled by a planet, and the direction is the zenith, or directly overhead. The zenith, the 10th house cusp. Okay? And this rules over basically creating. It's another name for Brahma, and Brahma is the creator of everything, the creator of Earth and everything on Earth and, the universe, all of it. So this is a highly creative, so you want to do something original, right? But it's success with things that come from somewhere you never imagined. All right? So those things that pop up into your life out of nowhere, and you get kind of excited about it, you get inspired from it, that is how you should use the planet ruled by this deity of Padmaja. Okay? It's usually coming from somewhere you least expect. It's a surprise. Okay? Now, the last one is Ananta. And Ananta rules the Nadir, which is the 4th house cusp, which is directly beneath our feet. You go straight through the earth, and that's where it rules, okay? The Nadir. That also gives success with what we already have. All right. When you look down, you see, you know, your home, your plot of land, you know, your possessions, you're looking down, right? So that is also a ruler of what we already have. It is also things that come from the past. All right. Which is usually what we already have. But very much the fourth house and, the earth has to do with those things that are, already known to us and, come from our past. It can also have to do with things that are very concrete, already created from the earth. All right. Cause it's very much an earth, it's centered around the earth. That's what the nadir is. All right, so that is it. This was a long one, but I really, there's so many details, so much fun to look at these different deities and see what they are influencing in your Dasamsa. Again, if you don't have software, I'm putting it down in the description, how to calculate it, so you can find your deity. Okay, thanks so much. All the best, and until next time, bye.